Hello, everyone, and welcome to Investing and Trading Live. As always, I am Josh Littlequist. Today is Friday. Freaky Friday, Fun Friday, Free Beer Friday, whatever that you want to call it. It is Friday the 26th, and markets open. As far as the overall market opening slightly to, we're basically flat on the open. But we have earnings. It is earnings seasons. We had seasons, not plural, but earnings season. Tesla really just, the other day, Tesla plummets down right into a demand zone, though. And I want to talk about that here today as far as supply and demand in the markets. There were some other earnings. We got Amazon coming up and Netflix. We talked about the other day. Netflix just soaring to the upside after, according to their surprise of their earnings was down, but markets went up. I think they had extra higher revenue, I believe it was. Yes, major revenue to the upside. So that's what we're going to just discuss here on Investing and Trading Live. Some of the opportunities that we do see moving forward as we get into the election year. And we have earnings season happening right now. I will go to Earnings Whisper and see if we can see what's going on there. Earnings Whispers and see what companies are reporting today. So big day for the markets. Looks like we have 30 companies reporting before the open and 8 after the close. And it's going to start to ramp up next week towards the end of the week. So let's get into our market update. Before we do that, there is risk in trading and investing. You can and will lose money at one point in your life. This is strictly for entertainment purposes only. Mainly mine. But hopefully you find it entertaining as well. Let's get into our market update. Let's look at the S&P 500, SPY, currently at 487.91, opening pretty flat on the day. But boy, I tell you what, markets are at all-time highs, just continuing to grasp and claw at that blue sky above, clouds above. And we will see this probably continue unless we see something change. And we have, I believe, next week, I will check out our Forex factory. I want to say the 31st, maybe? Let's look. Forex Factory. I believe we have earnings next week that... not earnings. We have a Fed announcement next week. Let's see if we can get the weekly default setting. Let's just go back. Not on Sunday, not on Monday, not on Tuesday. But we have Wednesday, I was correct. Wednesday the 31st, the FOMC statement and the federal funds rate. And the previous was 5.5%. And I want to say they are forecasting to stay. Is what I think there. I was looking at it yesterday, but now I'm mistaken or second-guessing myself, but I think they're forecasted to stay or lower, not to raise. So that being said, we're going to see some increased volatility, probably a slowdown of the market on the early part of the week, and then as we get into the earnings call and after, depending on what Fed Chair Powell has to say, yap about, we will see some volatility in the market. So make sure to protect your positions on those news events during those times, or even just be out of the market and let it work. So S&P 500, as I mentioned, 487.85 as we speak. Dow Jones Industrial Average, same story, right at all-time highs. A little more strength out of the open here. The market has been open for about 10 minutes. It is 8:40 Central Time, 380.99. NASDAQ, which is a QQQ ETF. Not the same story. This one it's been gapping up here and there, but it's been weaker throughout the days. We're actually gapped down here, which I kind of expected here today. Just was such a roar to the upside for the past few weeks here. 424.04, currently down 0.5% on the day. So this one here, a little bit different than the other ones. IWM 197.79, still struggling to get to those all-time highs, but with that being said, it has increased in value about since November, as of right now, about 23%. So IWM starting to get a little stronger. As far as your other ETFs, I don't see any major movers on that today. USO, I want to look at that because we like to look at oil every single day. This is the ETF for oil, United States Oil, USO. And starting that uptrend, I mentioned on Wednesday, reaching the highs of the pivot high from December. We have surpassed that and continuing to go up. I mean, we'll look to see this go to the $74 mark, and that will probably see some increased volatility at that point there. So that one really starting that uptrend. So, and also high in the percent Bollinger Band. So this could see a pullback, but we are gaining some strength here with USO. Let's look at crude oil. Actual crude oil price, $77.12. Same story, looks exactly the same. Surpassing the pivot from December, getting closer to the one. This will be from November, end of November actually, with some supply overhead, but not for a long time. So we're going to see this increase our prices at the pumps most likely. Gold, $2,021.13. Still struggling, just kind of stuck in that rut between 1983 and 2083. So between that $100 area, it's been kind of jumping around here for the last 2 months. That's your gold market. Silver, $22.83. So we did get down to that same. It's amazing how this works out. Same exact price from that pivot from November of last year, and spiked straight up from there, and really off of that demand zone that was formed back in October. Now, I do like that more on a daily chart rather than a 4-hour chart. Bitcoin finally getting back up to 41.33.8. 41.33.8. I don't think that's a number, but $41,338 Bitcoin is at. But we have a couple of sloppy supply zones on a daily chart, not so much on a 4-hour chart, but there is a 4-hour supply zone right around the 42,464 area. So look to see a slowdown there if we get past this daily demand zone of 41,584. So Bitcoin is jumping up a little bit. It was low on the percent Bollinger Band, which suggests, and it has some symptoms saying this could go higher, but which it is now. So that's Bitcoin. Let's go to HNT, 714. Yeah, buddy. I like to see that happen. I like to see those prices continue to rise with HNT, since we are mining mobile token, which will be converted into HNT. Helium token, which is 5G cell service. Mobile, 0.003093, and starting to really blast to the upside. I like that because it increases our prices with our mobile. And what's nice about this is you just buy a hotspot, buy a device, and it's providing cell service, which you are rewarded every single day, right around 7 p.m., a certain amount of tokens each day. And at current prices, it's about, I think, between $15 and $20 a day, just in tokens. So looking pretty good for that. All right, let's get into our currencies. Let's look at the dollar index. Dollar at 103.26. So we have some discrepancies in the currency market right now, in my opinion. That being said, I do have a couple positions in the currency market, but the dollar is really, in my opinion, is suggesting it's going to go higher. We have came back into our no man's land, or our hesitation area, from 100 to 102.50. We are now above 102.50, which is suggesting we are going to go to the 107.50 or the 110. But so that's suggesting the dollar is getting stronger, which I think will be inverse to the markets and slow down the stock market a little bit. That being said, you have a couple opportunities with the dollar yen, which has not gotten there yet, but basically suggesting to buy dollar yen. Not saying you should, but suggesting that you would, but not at current prices, waiting for a pullback. That being said, the New Zealand dollar has an opportunity, but it is inverse to the dollar. So the dollar in currencies, you have the New Zealand dollar versus the dollar. And it's really one currency or one country against another. So when you buy New Zealand dollar, you're buying New Zealand dollars and you're selling dollars, which means the dollar is weak and the New Zealand dollar is strong. So with correlations, if the U.S. dollar is strong, I technically want to be selling the New Zealand dollar pair. Well, it's suggesting it's at a buy, so you're kind of in a crossroads there. What do you do? And so that's kind of where you've lost a little bit of odds So you always want to keep your odds at the highest, but you did lose a little bit of odds with that, and you might lose a little bit of probabilities. Same thing with the dollar Swiss franc. The dollar Swiss franc is suggesting on a price chart to sell dollars and buy Swiss franc. Well, that's inverse to what the dollar is doing. So it's another crossroads of what do you do at this point. You do lose a couple odds-enhancing points, but that being said, you can take your own risk on those trades. That is not my risk or my suggestion. This is strictly your entertainment only. All right, that's your currency market update. Although let me go back to the currencies. The Aussie yen is in a bullish bias. Aussie New Zealand bearish bias. Aussie dollar bearish bias, which that one is suggesting to do what we want it to do: buy dollars and sell Aussie dollars once it gets up to the 66.75. So we'll see what happens over the next course of probably 4 to 5 days. That's your currency market update. BHG, looking good for those BHG holders and not looking good for many, many years. So BHG currently at $15 per share. NVIDIA 608.26, continuing to the upside, but we have 2 days of negative price action, down 1.28% of the day. Apple prices getting back up to the highs from December, or right near it, right at 194 even. Currently about even on the day. It's down 0.09%. Whoop-de-doo, 0.1%. Meta, which is formerly known as Facebook, continuing to the upside, surpassing all-time highs as of the last few days, 393.38. Snapchat up 3.74% on Z-Day. Not too interested in that. Carvana's up 2%. American Express continuing to the upside. Did they have earnings? They did. Earnings were negative. They were surprised bad on revenue, $204 million. They were surprised to the downside on earnings, which 0.71%. That being said, they soared to the upside. So let's just see what here is from Dow Jones Newswires. American Express issues upbeat 2024 guidance, plans to raise dividends. So maybe that's why price increased. People are buying it, thinking that they're going to get some better dividends. American Express Company reports results for the third quarter ended in December. Earnings summary. So that was a summary there. So that is why you don't base your decisions on fundamental information, opinions, earnings being one of them. Terrible earnings for American Express, which you would think would suggest prices to drop. Well, prices increased 7% on the day. So be very careful with how you trade earnings, if you trade earnings at all. I personally don't. Schwab up 1.3% on the day. AMD down 2%. And rounding out your stocks, Coinbase up 3.75%. And TKO, which is not looking good. Boy, I tell you what, Vince McMahon, former main dog of WWE, now TKO, in a lot of turmoil with trafficking and just bad news with I think he's still chairman of WWE or TKO, but just bad news in the media with him. I love WWE. I think it's a great product, but boy, if what is true that is on social, which you got to take that as a grain of salt, it's not looking good for old Vinnie Mac. That's TKO currently at 87.38, four straight days after a big gap up on last week, I believe it was. Earnings coming up soon as well. All right, that is your stock market update, crypto update, currency update, ETF update, and commodity update for today, January 26th, Friday. We'll get a market recap or a weekly recap either tomorrow or Monday. So that being said, thanks for all the subscribers on the podcast, on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. We do really appreciate the Spreaker app listeners. It really helps the algorithms. That's Spreaker. Also, check out the YouTube. We typically will record 4 sessions per week on the YouTube live stream. You can just type in my name, Josh Lilquist, and there's probably thousands of videos up there by now, or maybe, well, high hundreds, close to the thousands videos on YouTube. So that being said, thanks for listening to the show here today. This is your Friday market update. As always, collect your profits when they're given to you. Protect your losses, keeping them small. Until next time, retire young, my friends.